All right, let's just dive right in. Today, we are peeling back the curtain on one of Warhammer 40,000's most genuinely terrifying factions, the Drukhari. And look, these are not your standard alien invaders. They're something else entirely. Sadistic pirates, artists who paint with pain, all pouring out of a nightmare city to literally feast on an unsuspecting galaxy.
To really get the Drukhari, you have to see them as more than just monsters. Think of them as, well, as sophisticated connoisseurs of cruelty. They don't just kill you, they savor it. They turn suffering into a kind of high art, and, as we're about to find out, into their only form of food. It's a uniquely elegant kind of evil, and it is absolutely horrifying.
So, how does it all go down? Picture a totally normal planet, just going about its business. There's no warning, no enemy fleet showing up on the scanners. A Drukhari raid just happens. It starts with a tear in the very fabric of reality.
That's not a ship coming down from orbit, it's a wound opening up in the sky. It's a portal into the webway, that labyrinth dimension the Drukhari call home. And through that gate pour these bladed, anti-gravity skiffs, moving with the impossible speed and single-minded purpose of sharks that have just tasted blood in the water.
Yeah, the Drukhari have absolutely zero interest in a fair fight or some long, drawn-out war. Their raids are just masterpieces of shock and terror. They use their superior speed and tech to hit you exactly where it hurts the most. They cause absolute chaos, total confusion, and then, poof, they're gone before you can even mount a real defense. Their goal isn't to take your planet, it's to inflict pain, and most importantly, to take you with them. And here's the thing you have to understand. For anyone caught in one of these raids, a quick death is the greatest mercy imaginable. Because if you're taken alive, you're going back to their dark city. And that's where the real horror begins. That's a place where they can keep you alive forever. So how do you even build a society on this kind of predatory evil? Well, Kamarash isn't some unified empire. It's a treacherous, backstabbing ecosystem built on 3 distinct but totally interconnected pillars of power. And yeah, each one specializes in its own unique flavor of agony. So, Drukhari's society is pretty much split between these 3 main groups. First, you've got the Cabals. They're the main military and political muscle. Then you have the White cults, who are basically gladiatorial performers that turn violence into a massive spectator sport. And last, but certainly not least, you have the Homunculus Covens, the twisted flesh sculptors who literally hold the power of life and death in their hands. The Cabals are the ones you're most likely to see spearheading those real space raids we talked about. Think of them as a cross between a powerful crime syndicate and a depraved noble house. Each one is led by an Archon, a leader who got to the top through thousands of years of scheming, backstabbing, and just brilliant, cruel strategy.
Now, the witch cults, they're all about the performance. Their arenas are the beating heart of entertainment in the Dark City, where these warrior athletes perform what are basically ballets of bloodletting. The spectacle, the raw agony of their kills, it provides a feast of emotion that literally revitalizes the thousands of Drukhari watching. They are deadly artists, for sure.
And then you get to the homunculi. These ancient warped beings are the absolute masters of biology and pain. They can sculpt flesh into living weapons, create monstrous servants from scratch, and, most importantly, they hold the secret to resurrecting dead Drukhari, though it always comes at a terrible price. So, where do all these nightmares live? They inhabit a place that completely spits in the face of sanity and the laws of physics, the dark city of Kamarag. Get this. Kamarag isn't on a planet. It's not one place. It's a collection of stolen pocket dimensions and hijacked psychic corridors all stitched together into this one impossible, sprawling city. It's like a cancer growing in the veins of the galaxy, a city lit by stolen suns with endless spires that go in every direction at once. And the different neighborhoods are just as insane as you'd imagine. In a place called Alandrak, the shadows themselves will crawl up your leg and kill you. The underworld is a never-ending maze of labs where the homunculi do their vile work. And the Chasm of Woe, it's a literal, gaping wound in reality where they have to constantly fight to keep a tide of demons from just swallowing the entire city whole. Not exactly a top tourist destination. So you gotta be wondering, how does a race get this twisted? Were they always this way? The short answer is no. And the long answer goes back 10,000 years, to the single greatest disaster in the history of the galaxy. See, long before the Drukhari, there was the Eldori Empire, a civilization with unimaginable power. but they fell into extreme decadence, and Kamarog was basically party central for their most twisted pleasure cults. Well, all that psychic energy, all that excess, it started to pool in the warp and eventually gave birth to a new chaos god, Slaanesh. Its birth scream was so powerful it tore their empire apart, but the ones hiding in Kamarog, shielded inside the webway, they survived, kinda. They were not left unchanged.
And this, right here, this is the key. This is the one thing you need to know to understand everything about them. That psychic apocalypse left them with a permanent, horrifying curse, one that drives their every single action.
Here's the curse. Every single Drukhari is slowly, agonizingly dying. Their souls are constantly leaking away, like air from a punctured lung, draining into the warp to feed the very god their ancestors created. Imagine a constant, gnawing emptiness at the very core of your being. That's what they feel, every second of every day. And that is why they do what they do. To fight back against this spiritual decay, they have to constantly replenish their souls. And the only way to do that is to feed on the intense emotions of other living things. Sure, joy and pleasure can work as a snack, but the most potent, the most revitalizing source of energy, it's pure, undiluted agony. Their cruelty, it isn't really a choice, it's a biological need. They have to be parasites, because suffering is the only thing that keeps them alive.
This quote from the master homunculus Urian Rockhearth it says it all, doesn't it? For them, other species aren't rivals or even enemies to be conquered. They're livestock. Their only value is measured by the quality and quantity of suffering that can be squeezed out of them. So that leaves us with this really chilling final thought. What they do is monstrous. It's the stuff of literal nightmares. But they're also trapped in this horrifying cycle, damned by the sins of their ancestors to inflict endless pain just to keep their own souls from being devoured. So what are they? Are they the galaxy's ultimate predators? Or are they just its most tragic and twisted victims?